Tell me what you've been up to, what you've been doing.
So, obviously freelancing full-time for about, again, probably about a year and a half now. Off and on. I had one thing which was cool. Quite a well-known photographer who packed in photography reached out to me, and I thought he was offering me a job, like one of his photography jobs. But no, he was turning out he was offering me part-time work teaching in a prison, which of course I took because instinctually I was like, no way I'm doing that. And I thought, oh yeah, I forgot. I feel slightly scared. I have to do this now.
Yeah.
So I went in. I did a day or 2 days a week. And I'm done now. The contract's over, but it's really cool. I learned a lot.
What was that like? Yeah, tell me what was that like.
Well, I was putting together a program to help them when they leave prison, and it was trying to kind of devise ways that they could get into work or things they could do for self-employment. And all these things I thought about where it's like how to target their existing skills and think where they could work in. And ultimately, man, the first day I'm in, it's like three guys in a room. This guy's worked at like, a major credit card company. This guy's had a chain of restaurants, and all of my, whatever I thought. I mean, yeah, there were guys doing dog walking. There were guys doing like that kind of stuff and laboring and trades and whatever. But I met guys in there who'd, made millions in like companies. There was, it really changed my perception of people you would see in prison. I learned a lot about what I would call the gaze in prison. And I was basically, it was a category D, and I was just walking around on my own. I didn't have keys. I was having to use their bathroom. I was using the toilets the prisoners use. I was just on my own, walking around, knocking on doors. Hey guys, you're going to come to my class. Pretty out there. It took a while to get used to that. But I noticed very early on, and I should write about this, but everyone was looking at me, and I'm going to do it to Dan now. Everyone was looking at me like this. Everyone. This is how they look at you the whole time. Is it starting to feel a bit weird yet?
No, I'm really enjoying it.
Really? You're really enjoying it? Are you noticing that like there's no... I don't break gaze. I don't look away.
It's the lack of the blinking.
Yeah, no blinking. It's just like pure, like straight as an arrow. And I noticed that everyone was doing it. And I don't think they realised they were doing it. And part of me kind of theorised maybe it's kind of, it's a bit of a sketchy place.
Are you the new? Because, you come from outside. And
yeah.
They've not...
Well, I think because it's people who are going to be released in the next few years, it's also bringing me in was like, hey, here's like a normal guy. And also I treated them like humans. I treated them like real people. There was no...
What was the class in?
Well, employment, self-employment, that kind of stuff. So it wasn't photography. Because, I didn't have a phone on me. I didn't have anything. I managed to get my laptop in, but there's no internet. It was crazy to teach. I had to do, get videos. If I was going to show video, record the video. But the whole point of it was that it was really eye-opening. And I had this penny drop moment the first time I was in one of the wings when I'm looking at the cell and there's this guy stood there, and I suddenly realised how many people are wrongfully imprisoned in this planet and what a horrible thing that is.
It must be horrible.
And then the other thing that was really hard was that they have visitor days for families to come, and I would be there and you'd see like the mum come in with some of the kids and getting to hang out with dad, and like being a father myself, just how hard that was. I mean, I spoke to guys who've been inside for 19 years, but also then it's like, what are they in for? And then that's a whole other, I just don't want to get into it. But I think just being kind of really cool and positive and supportive. Most of the guys wouldn't come to the session. They're just in the gym the whole fucking time. So everyone's like
stacked,
massive. But there are a few people who you can feel like, I did a whole bit about, I do my own taxes to say 300 quid. And I'm talking to a room of people who are probably making $1 million a month. And they just think I'm the biggest loser on the planet, right? Seriously. Mm-hmm. Why would I do that? Loser. You can, with the dark web, you can make like, you get 20 credit cards, 10 of them are real. You can get, what are you doing, Ed? But at the same time, it's like I sleep really well at night. And I think, sometimes the crime is the punishment. And yeah, maybe I'm a fool. I don't know. But I think some of the guys cottoned on to me. It was like, Ed's straight and he's being straight with us. And he is straight because he's like, he's not crooked. He's not, he's trying to not be a crim. So that was endearing, I think. And I've always had this with students where and this is the thing, is, I'm not teaching anymore. Every year in a new term, I would believe in my students 100%, every year. And I think if I got to the point where I didn't, it would be over. But I have that thing where I truly believe in every student. And sometimes that sparks something and they think, this guy believes in me. Yeah, let's go. Other people, it doesn't work and they're like, whatever. But I think I had that same energy that I was trying to put to the prisoners where I was like, you're going to be okay. There we go.
It's hard to maintain that energy though, right? Is it like over a course of a term or a year? Are you as enthusiastic at the beginning as you are at the end? Do you bring that same energy?
It's tough. I mean, I had some hard life stuff in it. One of my daughters got very sick and I had to go in, and there was a scary thing where someone got very sick and I didn't have my freaking phone because there's no phones in there. And it's like, how do you contact someone in prison? You can't. I'm like, and it was only when I got out and saw these messages. So it's pretty full on. I think the hardest thing for me to maintain as a teacher is that barrier between like professional, you got to be, the teacher thing. But also I've always flirted with that because it's like, no, I've seen the academics who...
I've always flirted with
No.
I've seen the pupils then. I thought you were
No. I've seen the academics who come in and like, I'm a good teacher, but I'm me with the students. And I've seen other teachers who come in and they're with the students and they put an act on. And they're themselves in the staff room. Whereas in the staff room, I realised very early on is I can't be me in the staff room. I have to be the academic. So I'm pretending to be the academic and I'm real with the students. Whereas the academics are trying to be, especially now with all the ISS and NSS results being the only thing that matters, they're all trying to win the students over, which they can't really do because they're struggling because they're academics.
Would you go back into lecturing?
At this point, I don't see why. It would be good to get my teacher's pension topped up. But the whole system has been set up to basically make it that tutors cannot criticise the students, at least the institutions I've taught at. They can't fail the students either. There's been things where students haven't fulfilled the criteria, say like make a website, and I've been like, they didn't do the website. And then they were like, oh no, but it doesn't exactly say that in the course documentation, so we'll just pass them. And it's like, everyone gets in, everyone gets on the course, everyone passes. I mean, I've seen students, I got a 2 in my degree with work that 2 years later was in Naturographic magazine and like winning awards, like actual photos from the final project that I got a 2 for, yeah? Maybe it didn't help that when I saw the external examiner, Peter Canada, I said crazy shit to him, but I was in a weird place, man. But I have seen throughout my time teaching, people get like 2 1s and firsts for like, wow, it's really like degraded the quality of what those degrees are worth. But that when these kids go out to try and get work, it's very hard. But I'd also defend this. There's loads of people you see on YouTube, people trying to sell you courses or LUTs, or be like, yeah, what waste of time going to higher education, why'd you do that, you pay all that money. It's like, you know what, I met like the first Greek girl I ever met, I met the first Palestinian woman I ever met. When I went to art college, I met all these people from all over the world I would never have met. I started hanging out with the Norwegian and Swedish students. They introduced me to something called Eurovision. And I was like, what are we doing? Oh, we're watching this really tacky show and we're getting really drunk. And I was like, I love it. I love Eurovision. And it's like weird because I was like into my industrial 9-inch nails and stuff, but it's just this weird camaraderie of drinking this weird booze they'd brought over from wherever, like some fermented potato drink. And my point is that is the incentive to go into higher education is that it's not necessarily like, oh, you learn nothing, you could learn this on you watch a YouTube video. So yeah, you could watch a YouTube video in the dark in your pants, or you could come hang out with a group of people who, I must as well say, the tragedy of higher education in the UK is the lack of international students we have now. There's lots of students from China, but the rate of European students we used to have, it was like the little United Nations at my art college, and you learned so much from all these people. And also, dude, the kind of kid at 18 who's in Norway or Sweden or wherever the hell, Italy, Spain, Netherlands, who says, I'm going to go to the UK, I'm going to go to a country, second language, I'm going to do a degree. All those kids were super cool because they're brave as hell, man. They were brave enough to do that. So it's always wonderful hanging out with the international students on that level, which we don't get anymore because they've changed the fees. So now those kids have to pay as much as international, and why the heck would they come here for that money,
There's a place where I live in South Wales called Atlantic College.
Yeah.
And it's right on the coast, and it's basically an international baccalaureate, And it's just this amazing place. It's like a Harry Potter castle right on the Welsh coast. And you basically, as a kid, we didn't really know what it was. Like, we were too young to understand. As I've gone back and not really taken photos, but I've gone back with my kids. And you're allowed to walk through the place because at the bottom there's like an outdoor swimming pool right on the sea. And they train, like they get up and train these kids for 6 hours in the morning. They're there at 6 and they're swimming from 6 till 12, and then they go do their education for the day, and then they go and chill out, I suppose. But this college is like meant to be an incredible place.
Is it a sports place? Or
but as a man of South Wales growing up, I never knew it existed, or it was like even a possibility that you could attend. I don't think I could have attended anyway. Wasn't smart enough. But you know what I mean? There's these worlds, other worlds that as working class kids we don't have access to. And we'll never have access to.
Well, that's why it was also good to get to uni, was that it kind of got you into a little bit of that. But then the hardest part at uni, especially in photography, was graduating. And you see the kids who did have money, they're suddenly all over the world, and you feel like, oh, they got some assignments, whatever. No, it's all a big holiday to them. And that's really crushing. I mean, this was the best part of my graduating from the MA in photojournalism was all the kids with money were flying all over the world. I think from 2000 to 2012, I didn't even leave the country. I left London, I think. Maybe I went visit my mum in Kent, but mostly like just the southeast. I never left. But it was work I shot in Ashford that got me into Anarcho-Graphic magazine. So all the kids were flying over the world doing the thing they thought they should do as photojournalists. It was all white noise because everyone was doing it because they were unoriginal. Yeah. The thing I was forced into doing, like, oh, there's a woman who rescues battery farm chickens, let's go. That was the thing that launched my career. So it's really hard lesson. It's like,
do you think if you'd had money, you would have travelled as well?
Oh, yeah, why not?
You would have gone, right?
Well, in the beginning I did anyway, but that's the final thing where in Texas, the last part of my Texas project I made with no money, taking a Greyhound bus from New York Port Authority all the way to San Antonio over 48 hours of non-stop Greyhounds just to afford to get there. So it was tricky. But as I said, going somewhere new is fun because if you don't feel confident as a photographer, like in your hometown, I said this on the Funny Magic video, is that you pick up a camera, everyone's like, oh, look, he thinks he's a photographer now. Look, you got a camera, photographer now, are you? But if you go somewhere else with it, they're like, oh, this guy's a photographer. Like, yeah, I'm a photographer. And it allows you to at least believe for a minute enough that when you return with that knowledge for the tribe, you're like, oh, I am a photographer now. Yeah, that is cool. But you can do that anyway. You can hop on the bus and go to Derby. Who cares, you know?
Yeah. You can go anywhere, can't you? Go a mile away and it's different, right?
So there you go. As long as you're not in your hometown with your camera.
Oh, you're not your camera.
You thought you're doing that, you're doing this.
How old were you when you left Wales?
Oh, let me go and think. I went to Bristol, I think, when I was like 26, 5.
So you're still kind of,
so I was,
you're an adult, but you're still kind of in those formative.
But your world was like my friends had gone to some of friends had gone to uni, some of my other friends had gone to art college in Wales. But they went. Dan, one of my good friends, he went later. Like he was my age, right? So he went to art college late because he was a pipe fitter doing fitting pipes, and he said, "I'm not doing this anymore. I want to get the fuck out of this." And now he's in Australia making movies, basically. So he married an Aussie girl, rich Aussie girl, and he's living out there making films now.
Worked out all right for him.
Yeah. But I left, and it's interesting, isn't it? Like your world is so small when you're. Well, it was for me living in South Wales, and there's a craving for you to escape this place. I just got to leave. I've got to get away. I've got to, and you don't know what's on the other side, but it can't be the same, and it's going to be different. And
as Lewis Carroll said, you always hate the town you grew up in, and I grew up in Folkestone. I was like, can't wait to leave this fucking shit. Yeah. And yet now Folkestone's on the up. There's loads of people moving back. It's more affordable housing. It's become a cool place to live, and it's just like no. So
this year's Eurovision guy is.
And I photographed him last week.
What's his name? Sam?
Sam Battle, aka Look Mum No Computer, and he's awesome. He's more than a YouTuber, man. They're like, oh, YouTuber. No, he's not. He's like an inventor. He's like an electromechanical genius. Like the guy is just next level.
Mate, years and years and years ago, like a real long time ago when I was in a band, I used to follow his channel because he was making like effects pedals and synthesizers and stuff, and I was like, I'm going to give this a go with a soldering iron. Anyway, so I've known who that guy is for a long time, and then I just saw recently, like on social media or something, like he's this year's
entry in Eurovision. Yeah,
I was like, this is.
So I photographed him last week, and this was a cool story about freelancing. Was that I knew it was coming up to photograph him. I had to photograph another musician that I knew, and I wanted to try out a little lighting setup on him with a few tricks I could work quickly. And I've done this in the past where, you could have a 2-light setup and you just flick one light off and you've immediately got a different lighting setup, or you can do things like that. I did a thing called dragging the shutter where you light it, but then you lose longer exposure to get some blur and other stuff. So I tried on this musician. I can send you these photos. I tried on a musician and I shot him in about 40 minutes and doing some other setups. And then I photographed the magician in his home, again, with a similar setup.
I saw those were cool photos.
Thank you. So then when the time came to shoot Sam the next day at his museum, I knew I was going to have some available light because of his gadgets. And I did some straight shots of it, but low-key lighting. So I only illuminated him with some, it's called cinefoil black wrap spill kill. I basically created my own snoots, wrapping it around each light.
Okay.
So the light only pulled on the subject, which then didn't throw on the background. And these photos...
You can tell he's an educator.
He
knows all the lingo.
I shot in 15 minutes, essentially. So in 15 minutes, I came up with a straight lit portrait of him just stood. I had him with a guitar posed closer. I had him blurring, like playing it with the long exposure of the lights going. He then had to be interviewed. I quickly went off just for the Pro Photo handheld, so direct flash with him just being interviewed, grabbed a few there. And then when that was over, with 5 minutes left, I whipped him around the corner and I did another shot. So all those photos I took, that range of compositions, 15 minutes. And it was because I drilled a few shoots before working out that lighting setup. So that's something to think about. And each job I did, some of them were paid, some were just helping out a friend, you know? Mm-hmm. And that just kind of built up this momentum. And I think a big thing about being a photographer is just be a photographer. Invited to a kid's birthday party the morning of my girl's birthday on Sunday. I took my camera. It's in this little venue they run. They do these these crafting workshops. Oh, great, I should take my camera. They're friends. I'll just do some photos, you know, not paid, just do some photos. And it led to maybe I'll do some work for them later on. And I said, we could do some videos or whatever. Work begets work. And that's the thing. If you want to freelance, just keep going. Don't ever get to the point. I mean, I knew a guy coming up. It was fair enough. He was a war photographer. But he was like, I don't photograph. If I'm not being paid, I don't photograph. And I never had that attitude. I'm like, if I could help someone, but I don't also. I had the camera on me at 21 all the time, and I just went sparky as hell. Like, I end up in a heightened state, and I can't sustain that heightened state all the time. I go completely out of my mind.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's obviously...
I go into moments of I can be really on it for maybe a week or two, and then go off it completely, and then come back on it, and then, you know, I think sustaining it over, like, I can't be constantly... setting this up has been like a mind, you know, fuck for the last 3 months, so 4 months. And I think I have gone out and take pictures in between, but it's been sporadically. And it's the opposite for me. When I go and take pictures, it's one of those places where the world almost slows down.
Well, you're a visionary photographer, Paul. That's what you are. You think you know that, don't you?
What do you mean by that?
Well, like, what way you know... There's all these, years ago when I was teaching, I created these categorizations of different types of photographers. Some I called farmers. I forget whichever ones I called. Some I called technicians, and they all had different sort of specialisms, right? And then there's like the visionary photographer, which is that photographer who's basically got their perception down. And it's that expression, everywhere you go, there you are. Yeah. And that's why there's that famous example of William Eggleston going on a commission in Paris. I think it's in the Genius of Photography series. And he's, not Paris, he's in France, somewhere in France. And even though he's in France, it looks like it's the Deep South in America. Because everywhere he goes, there he is. That's what you've got, man. And like the things you shoot when you shoot street, they don't look like anything else anyone else would shoot street. They're so intimate and there's something going on. Your photographs of your kids sleeping, right? Mm-hmm. I love that set, man. They are amazing. I've always thought they're amazing. And it's that intimacy you got there is in all your work, even if you're just doing the Wandle Trail. And that's something, I've spent 7 years writing a book, which I don't even know if I'm going to publish. It was 50,000 words. And it's basically an occult book about photography. I've not really told it. I don't think I've told anyone. I think this is a world exclusive. I don't even know if I'm going to publish it because it might be too crazy. And also because I practice Zen non-attachment, I might just destroy it. I don't know yet. Maybe I'll publish it, maybe I won't.
You should publish it.
But it's pretty good.
Tell us about it.
Can I get a dummy at least? If you're going to destroy it, I would at least want to...
I nearly brought a dummy, but I thought, no, you can't look at it. I've printed off 2 dummies at this point. Essentially, it's like... Cartier-Bresson had his decisive moment, right? Which everyone misunderstands to the point where there's some YouTuber now getting loads of views saying the decisive moment's bullshit. And his reasoning is he's got contact sheets being, oh, look, some of the photos aren't very good. It's like, you don't understand the decisive moment.
Yeah, that's completely right.
But he's got 50,000 views.
But the other one that drives me crazy is that I hear people go, oh, I'm zone focusing. You're like, Ansel Adams did the zoning system. It's exposure. Then you've got range focusing. Yeah. Zone focusing is not a thing.
Yeah. So, can I? I was eating a bit. I thought maybe because like a bit Brad Pitt, it could be my thing. Like eating podcasts.
Are you taking your shirt off?
I'm not yet. No. But anyway, the book. So we'll see. But it's taken like 7 years, and I've got some crazy stuff in it. It's pretty high operating stuff. But I think for photographers who've worked in the schools of documentary, street, and photojournalism, it's really good. And I think it gives some meaning to our work that for 30 years, the conceptual photographers have ruled the roost and it's all very fine. But I think I've found something that we tap into and I've managed to give names to it. I've put tasks into it where you can get into those states and find those images. And then I've also put at the back a taxonomy of the weird shit that happens. And I've looked at my photographs and other photographers' pictures, and I've tried to do examples breaking down different types of these weird photographic woos that happen. And I think it's pretty cool. But I also don't know if it should exist because it doesn't exist yet and it's never been done before. I don't know if that's never been done because there's a reason not to do it, or I should do it because it's never been done before. So.
Do you think we all see the same?
I've got a theory, which again I'm just spitballing here, that's tapped to my mind, because there's the male gaze and female gaze. I think there is a gaze, but it's called desire, and I think it doesn't matter whether. I mean, someone once looked at my work and said, "Oh, she was a woman." She said, "Oh, you know, your perception is like you see a lot like how a woman would see, and that's how I see your photography." And I was thinking, well, you're looking at my photograph, but then you're saying that. But for me, it's all about desire, and it doesn't matter whether you're a man or woman or whatever. I think it's all about desire. You're drawn to certain things visually. And that's it. Your desire is what governs your perception. It just depends on what you desire.
So you said that Paul's a farmer?
No, visionary.
He's a visionary.
Totally. Because no. I know. I haven't done this years ago. It was a lecture I literally threw together. But a farmer is someone who keeps going back and back again and tilling the land, right? Tilling the land, gets it in the edit. I can't listen, dude. I totally can't remember the other ones.
I want to know what you are, Ed. Like,
I've always, I think everyone really, you want to be a visionary. That's it, ultimately. Because you want to be in a position where everywhere you go, there you are, you found your consistent style. I do have a consistent style that I didn't realize I had till I edited my Garden England book. But I am free of style. Let's go Jeet Kune Do on this. Like my shots I did of The Magician, of my friend Richard the musician, and then of Sam Battle, they're all shot in this style that I just did, just for those portraits. It's not how I'm going to shoot forever. But it's something I've adopted. It brings me on
to something I was reading by Dina Litovsky, who does The Flash on Substack. And she wrote about that.
She's awesome.
Yeah, just
Dina's so good, isn't she?
I like how she changes her style to suit each individual brief. And that's the skill, right? That's thinking about, you're not going to turn up to every job and do the same thing, but you know for certain jobs this is going to be great, and it's learning all of those tricks and learning when to pull them out and when to use them so they don't become a cliche. You're kind of trying to subvert the cliche.
But they're also the most successful photographers. It's like, as joke, the guy who does black and white photos of dogs for their whole career and everyone loves it, the kind of people who do very well on Instagram, I might add. So because they're just taking the same photo again and again. And that's something that Pinkasov, the Magnum photographer, said to me when I was like 25. He did the thing where he said, do you ever find you're taking the same photo again and again? It spun me out because at that point I was. So yeah, there we go. So
that's why I think photography is a wonderful thing, though, because although you might take the same photo again and again, you also aren't you? Like there's an ability to go and shoot something completely different.
True, but like you'll get this point where, you know, I was in Ireland, the south of France, and I took a photograph of a couple sat on a bench with some graffiti, and I was in Berlin 2 years later, and it was a couple on a bench with some graffiti. And you just line it up and it's pretty much
the same place.
But then, you know, that was also developing your visual style. We can get into whole ideas of like staying on the fucking bus, you know, focusing through it, not getting scared when you realize you're emulating a photographer, even by accident or on purpose, just to keep going, because ultimately you'll hit new ground. It's that horrible thing I had where, I won't say the name, but, you know, it's quite a well-known British photographer, looked at my work and said, oh, I'd seen it all before. And when you get someone like that, it's such an easy thing to say. When you know photography, you can find anyone shows you any work, you can say, oh, it looks like so-and-so.
Yeah,
it's just such a dick move, because when you're young, you don't realise that, oh no, it looks like so-and-so, I need to rethink my whole shit. It's like, no, you don't, you just need to keep going. But to have an older guy come in and just be like, I'm just going to find between your ribs here and slip that knife right in.
That's just such a shit thing to say, though, isn't it?
But I think he could have been like half an hour away from eating his lunch, he's a bit hangry, he's got some other...
No, I mean, a lot of these people are systematic scumbags, actually,
right.
And I think it's a generational thing. I've been interviewing just chatting to lots of photographers over the years, and I find I have more in common with photographers in their 70s and 80s now than I do photographers in their 40s and 50s. And I think a weird thing, it might be how I was raised.
Why is that?
Well, my parents were born in 1940, and I didn't realise this until very recently. So they're basically the silent generation. So I was raised by the silent generation. I wasn't raised by boomers. Whereas a lot of the guys in the 50s and 60s, it's like, it's almost like, it's weird. Maybe that's nothing to do with it. I think it's more about meaning. I think a lot of the photographers I've met in the 50s and 60s are complete nihilists. They believe in nothing Lebowski. And when you talk to them about their photographs, and they literally just talk about like geometry. They're just making shapes. They're shapes. Whereas the older guys I'm chatting to, they're a bit more like, not quite old hippie territory, but they feel there's meaning to it. There's purpose. There's something going on.
Though, isn't it?
But that is for us. But there's a whole generation, I would say, even the younger guys now, where it's just like they're just making pretty pastel images for Instagram, and that's it. Whereas I said to you before we started this, the reason I got into photojournalism, no lie, was to save the frickin' world, man. I swear to God, that was the reason. I wanted to be a war photographer. I wanted to show the horror. I wanted to take that burden like a frickin' sin eater.
Do you ever see
push
combat?
it back to reality. Never. Push it back to reality. The closest I got was Syrian refugees in Lebanon. And that was the final peak of my kind of career trying to be a documentary photographer, where the magazine that I finally sold the story to paid me £600 for the cover feature and priced me out. There's no way I could afford to be that photographer, which is why I'm always very defending of very wealthy photographers who do it. People like, obviously, Tim Hetherington had a fair bit of money as well. Yeah. But like photographers who can afford to do that, because we do need them. But they're easy to shit on. You get the whole people shitting all over them. Trust me, if anyone's seen action, if anyone's been to a horrible place photographing, they're damaged. I've seen messed up stuff.
Especially when you see Tim's work. It's mind-blowingly good. Like, it's so good.
But all that's gone now, because all you want to do is have loads of likes on Instagram, loads of popularity on YouTube. On YouTube, you're not going to cover anything sensitive.
No.
You're not going to show anything gritty. On Instagram, you're certainly not. You're going to do pretty dogs, funny pastel pink puff piece stuff, easy stuff. You're going to preach the largest demographic, which is the street photographers, because let's face it, all you need to do is hold a camera and walk out your door. So you're going to preach to those guys. You're going to build up a massive following and sell them luts, and that's it.
There's a lot of shit street photography out there right
I
now.
saw an advertised post yesterday, and it said conceptual street photographer, and he was selling his program. I'll show you it. Selling his program to be a conceptual street photographer. I went to his photos. It's all vertical, blurred photos of people walking. Every photo. It's garbage. But he's espousing. It's just like, if you were coming to photography now and just didn't have a clue, there's so many little flim-flam merchants. It's like the Manosphere documentary by Louis Theroux, all these people trying to sell their courses, sell the crypto, sell the thing. It's like that in photography now.
It was like
false
20 years
idols,
ago,
baby.
though, isn't it? It's always like,
not on this scale, man.
Like, no, maybe not on this scale. You're right.
Dude,
You're right.
man, like, you know, Don McCullum was at least trying to sell you like a Nikon. He wasn't trying to get into his, like, you know, cryptocurrency. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I don't know though.
or his NFT.
That's the perfect time to announce. Idle Hand Society is launching a cryptocurrency.
Yeah, it's called Ben's Coin, and you could buy two and get one free.
Yeah,
but it's tricky. I mean, I wouldn't know where to start. I mean, I feel very lucky I got into photography before YouTube. I think there's lots of people you'll see online who are YouTubers saying, "Oh, I learned photography from YouTube." It's like, dude, I learned photography from being a photographer. There's no other way to do it.
You just got to get the frames in.
You got to do the job, haven't you?
You just got to go and get the frames in.
I mean, the hard thing as well, you'll see very popular people on the platform because they're just saying this very base level stuff that everyone will nod to. And if you've been doing it, I don't know, 10, 20, 30 years, you've hit realizations that they're never going to get close to. And some of the stuff you say, it will be like, they'll just have to push back against that. But it's truth. And is it the Tao? When you hear the Tao, it's how you respond to the Tao. It says a lot about you, the truth. So
if one of your daughters came to you and said, "Daddy, I want to be a photographer," what would you say now then?
Well, everything's so up in the air at the moment. And the thing is with AI, like, I'm lucky in that I'm part of the Jedi anyway. My order was wiped out in like 2006. I think that was Order 66. So I came into it knowing my industry was dead. When we were on the MA in photojournalism, once we'd finished the course, we were all taken into a room, but we knew about it because I knew guys the year above. And we knew it was coming. They walk you into a room and say, "By the way, all that stuff you've been trying to do, all that thing you've been thinking you're going to do, it's over. You've got to do something else. There's no industry. It's gone." That was 2007. So since then, I've done portrait photography and event photography to keep myself afloat. A little bit of teaching, but not much, really financially. And the rest of it was still trying to make books, sell stories, and just constantly trying to produce. Like, someone needs a photo, help them out. Someone needs this. Never too big for anything. Shit, man. I would merrily shoot. I'd merrily shoot a kid's party. Hell, I shot my girl's birthday party on Sunday. I had a great time. So it's, again, not having that hubris and ego. Like, I was on the beach with Kings of Leon and now I'm reduced to this. It's like, dude, I've never been on the beach of Kings of Leon. You know, I'm just happy to be at the party. You know? And I love photography. I really do. It's such a... it feels great, you know? So, and for me, that's also why I've kept going, because I don't really care about the private views. I don't care about the photography magazines or who's on the cut. I couldn't care less. And you see stuff all the time that'll break your heart, like a photographer you know is just plagiarizing this fucking idiot, and they get the grants and awards. It's like, yeah, but you're just ripping off this person. Where's their credit? It's horrible. Don't get me wrong. It's disgusting the more you look into it. But just ignore it. Just do your thing. Keep producing. Keep making the work. Gary Winogrand, the work is the reward.
I think that's the cool thing, though, about documentary is that you can just do this as a personal thing.
You have to, because it's dead.
Right.
Like there's no industry. So you're not going to sell the stories. So you might as well do whatever you want to do.
Right. And that's what I was going to say. It means you can do stuff with a lot longer of a tail, right? You can keep working on a project for years and years and years and then have it be ready whenever it's ready.
I just feel like, your photographers are selling to other photographers, right? You're selling your books to other photographers.
Oh yeah. Nobody
right?
else is buying your book, right?
Right, like we're in a kind of a niche marketplace. It's a small world within a world within a world, right? You very rarely see, any of these photographers on you break out into the mainstream, right? They're not selling to my mum or to my granddad or to my auntie or any of them. Like if you fundamentally believe that your biggest market is photographers, then there's a bit of a realization there that, okay, well, maybe, I should basically sell, all these guys, you're right, on YouTube, and they're like, they're selling their luts and their bullshit and their shitty courses that they've just managed to do it from being a photographer for a couple of years. Like, I don't know. I've got two feelings about it. Well, on one side, I think, what the fuck? But on the other side, I think that you're just trying to survive in a world that it's impossible to survive in now, fundamentally. And there's like maybe like 20 years ago, the pool was smaller, right? But now the pool is oversaturated to a point where...
Yeah, but none of them are doing...
I
would bet you right now there's only probably 50 photographers in the entire country who are actually doing decent work. I bet you.
Decent work? Do you mean commercial work? Or
real photographic project, really trying to do something really freaking great, because they just aren't.
Yeah,
most of them, it's just like they're feeding the machine on Instagram. They've got to get a photograph like 3 posts a week. They're just doing they're selling getting the.
I've been shooting street for 3 weeks, so I've
got this weird thing as an old editorial photographer. If the magazine knew that I'd put my work online, I would have got paid less. I would have lost the exclusive. So this is why generally I've always been very slow to share my work while I'm making it, because I like to hold it all back. I think it has a power there. You hold it all back. Maybe you drip feed 1 or 2, but that's it. And then when the book comes out or whatever you're making comes out, then it's like this wham, rather than this drip feed of just constantly sharing it for likes. Oh, feed the machine. I've done the book. And everyone's like, yeah, I've seen all this because we've literally seen you make it. And so what?
Like photography is a purely like solo pursuit, but I wonder if there's power in the collaboration between or not, or do you think? I just wonder whether there's like, on our own, it's a lot of graft and grind and lonely nights, but is there more power in that when and I don't know what form that takes or how it, but I imagine. By sharing work and by working on a project together over a period of time, whatever that is, and getting a buy-in, not from a big group, a small group of trusted photographers, that they'd be benefit for, like, psychologically, mentally, from doing the work. Do you think there's something in that?
Yeah, but I think, listen, we could talk about this from 2 different angles. Like, the first angle is that there's no money in it, and it used to be a thing you could pay your mortgage with, right?
Yeah.
And the second way is there's more artistic purity once you take the money out. And I guess the reality is that the jobs are gone, right? So you have to just do the silver lining thing, otherwise you're kind of fucked.
I've got a whole chapter in my book, I think the first chapter, and I called it The Solo Practitioner. And I really, really honestly believe there is power in being on your own. I really do, as a photographer. I've had mentors, people I would walk around Paris with, Sergei Chilikov. We couldn't talk to each other and we saw how each other worked. But you do it long enough, then you've been on your own, but you've done it long enough that when you meet another kindred spirit, I know you guys, man. I know you. Because you know me. I talk about this idea of the archetype of like the photographer. We've all been the photographer. How many jobs have you been on where you're like, oh, there's the photographer? I've got no problem. I don't have to be Edward Thompson, the photographer. I embrace being the photographer. And at some point, when I stop photographing, when I'm gone, there'll be another person in that role. And they say, oh, who's this? Is that Sheila? No, that's not Sheila. That's the photographer. And that's where this moment comes in with power, because you recognize someone else who's walked a similar path, and it's glorious. So I don't necessarily need to hold my hand when we're out and about. We don't have to have all our Leicas and walk around the street together holding hands and sit in the pub and photograph our cameras. We don't have to do that. Instead, we can go on our own, have quests and adventures, see things on our own, which is important, to then come back together.
I think there's something magical, though, about that second pair of eyes.
Right. In the edit.
In the edit.
Or just out and about.
Interestingly, like, let's talk about Sheppy together, because it's a really good interesting.
Okay. Yeah,
like, even though he was doing his final university project, I'd motivate him to go maybe a couple of times, and I'd go with him, and we'd be out, right? And a really interesting psychological thing happens when you're out with another photographer, just two of you, and it wasn't competitive, right? But it was, if you know what I mean. Like, there was like, okay, maybe so we were walking, in an industrial estate, and normally I wouldn't go in and ask, go into a factory and ask, can I take some photos of you? But because he was there, I think it motivated me to go in and ask, right? And it's a tiny thing.
It's a quiet competition,
right? And it's not, and sometimes
because you don't want to look back on the laptop and go, oh, I took shit photos. We were both in the same place, and I couldn't deliver
he just nailed me, right?
Yeah,
so there's that thing that's going on.
Yeah.
But I also think,
I wonder if that only works because we know each other very well.
Yeah, exactly. But also we'd go separate ways, wouldn't we? You'd go like...
Listen, yeah, we'd be...
My idea of a photo walk with 20 other photographers...
Oh my God, shoot me now.
I want to kill myself now, I'm sorry.
And also, but the whole methodology is wrong. Like I said with Sergey, I did this once with a very young girl in Maidstone. She got some scholarship, was being paid to photograph at a football stadium, and I took her with me, and I was literally framing shots and being, can you see? And I was sort of imparting that. That's very helpful. Because you're literally guiding someone through your perception. That's very cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, ultimately... if you go to the pub with like 3 mates, at the end of the night, you probably won't know anyone. You go to the pub on your own, by the end of the night, you'll know 6 people. It's something, for me as a documentary photographer, that's really important. I want to go deep. I want, most of my great stories have started being on the street, and then someone saying, do you want to come back?
Yeah.
And I go back.
You always go to the second location.
Yeah.
The thing they tell you not to do.
Yeah. I go in Porky's bedroom, which has like the freaking Confederate flag all over it, while the guy who's with me is like, you're not going in there. And I'm like, I'm going to go in Porky's house.
I'm going in.
Yeah.
You got to go in Porky's house, okay?
Yeah. I've done some disastrous second locations.
Yeah. But then also it doesn't become second location, it just becomes life, because next thing you know, it's going. Now, obviously, being a father who has to be on the school run at 3, I don't get to do that anymore. But there's other things I've tried to do, building up stories in a different way. But this is why I'm so, beholden to the next generation. And I think if they can get steered away from this machine social media-like popularity contest, which is so bullshit. There's like, dude, can I just say the standard of photography now is insane. Like the amount of amazing work that I see with no real outlets. It's on social media. Some of them get assignments. Most of them don't. The standard, I'm not going to embarrass anyone, but the standard of some of the boomer photographers, I saw the work they were doing when they were being paid like in the 70s, 500 quid a day and doing like 5 days a week, is terrible. The level now, the standard now, it's good. It's really good.
Do you think that is because it's just the amount of people doing it?
I think digital has really sped up the learning process.
Because you get in the frames.
It was very hard for me, like, take a photograph, I've written down my settings, I develop it, I print it, I look at it, that's taken 3 days, with digital, it's it's really sped it up. I think that's helped, but also just the sheer quantity of people who are doing it. It's become way more ubiquitous. Photography, I'd say, is more popular than it was in the 80s, 90s.
I think there's less gatekeeping now as well.
There is, but not really, because you'll still see people...
In terms of technical, this is how to take a good photo.
You're in, but we're back. If you think about the history of photography, you had photographers like Jacques-Henri Letigue, like Belle Epoque era France, super rich, daddy owns factories, Cartier-Bresson, daddy owns factories, William Eggleston, daddy owned factories, We got this lovely moment in the 60s and 50s, maybe 60s with 35mm, and it became more affordable. He was that famous Magnum photographer who shot Ronald Reagan's attempted assassination. He had to borrow a suit from someone else. So he was wearing a really baggy suit because he had no money, but he got that shot. And then it's died. And we've hit this peak now where so many of the industries are going to fall apart because of AI. That a lot of photography will again just become the folly of the rich, and again that's terrible. But on the flip side, you see so many people winning grants and opportunities now in museums and galleries whose work is subpar, And they've just become, again, part of the furniture. People like them. This whole thing of identity, like about it's so important who the photographer is. Man, when I was flicking through National Geographic magazine as a kid, I didn't give a fuck who the person was. I'm just looking at the work.
Pictures, right?
You know what I mean? I'm looking at the pictures. Whereas now it's like, oh, tell us about you. Tell us about you. And, you know, the mirror. There's a mirror here. It's not all about you, but we've fallen in love with this stuff. This is why I like the idea of the photographer. We all embody the photographer, and it ceases to be about us. And my God, please be about other people. The world's in such a terrible state right now, and there's so much we could do. And it's not you need to get on a plane. Right now, there are 1 million children in this country who don't have a bed. They don't have a bed, and no one's done shit. You know who's done something about it? I saw 2 days ago, Mr. Motivator, the Keep Fit guy. And that's it. One guy championing the freaking kids in this country who can't afford to have a freaking bed. So, you know what, next time you think about just doing some street photography, you know what, do a bit of research, find out the charity, working with Mr. Motivator, try and hook up with some families, do some photos, do a story, get it out there. You're not going to get paid for your street photography. You might as well not get paid to save the freaking world, right?
Yeah.
You might as well do that. Or then you're a nihilist. You're like, well, it's all doomed anyway. What if it's all doomed anyway? Why not try? Why not in the face of adversity be that lone voice being like, why not? Why not do that? I guess because it's not going to be popular. People aren't going to like it on Instagram. It's going to be contentious. People will come to you and say, oh, no, you're making money off these suffering children now. And it's like, well, you're not really, but they'll throw that on you. Oh, you're not from that background. That's not your class. Oh, you're shooting outside of your class. Yeah. If Lewis Hine had done that, then laws wouldn't have been changed for child labour. Well, also,
I mean, that kind of segregation keeps everybody in a box, right? Like, we grew up working class, and if we weren't allowed to work outside of our class, then that's it. That means you're basically not being paid to be a photographer ever. Like, that's, do you know what I mean? It's a weird idea. I think you should just go out there and meet everybody and make friends with everybody. Like, there's amazing people in all walks of life from all cultures.
And dickheads too.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, there's a fair share of both, isn't there? Right.
Right.
And you're right, and I think
nobody's got a monopoly on being a dickhead.
I was so whacked out in my undergraduate degree. We sat in a circle of 30 people. Everyone was introducing themselves, and no lie, I sat there. I mean, obviously, I was in a weird place, but I was like, I am everyone in this room. I'm everyone in this room right now. I had that feeling of like I could really just feel like. I mean, that's obviously complete madness, but like at that point, I really felt like that, and it felt so lovely. And I'd have dreams about us having exhibitions together. And like Chantel would do some amazing exhibition in my dream. And I'd get upset with her in my dream thinking, oh, that's a great idea. I can't believe Chantel's done that work. And I'd wake up being, oh, that was my idea. So even in my dreams, I was dreaming of the students I was studying with and the work they were making. It's really out there.
Did you ever make somebody else's project?
No, but I had students rip me off all the time. No, I had a student rip off my project for the final degree and get a better degree grade than me.
Did you ever sit and think, oh, Chantel could be doing this? And then you thought, oh, I could channel that and just...
Or did you ever get influenced by a student?
Yeah, I think so. In the beginning, there were some girls above me, Esther and Katya, who are like the cool kids. Esther Teichmann and Katya Mayer both went on to be quite well-known fine art and fashion photographers, and they did some shoots very early on with like spotlight flash, and I had a go of that, just obviously clearly ripping them off. But then, I won't talk about it actually because it's the greatest photograph I've ever taken, and I haven't shared it. But there is a photograph that I did for real that was statistically implausible. And a week later, after someone had seen that photo of me printing in the darkroom, they were trying to fake it using stuff. Anyway, I don't want to talk about it because it's my Dorian Gray picture. It's the greatest photo I've ever taken in 2002, and I've never shown anyone.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I've been holding back for The Guardian to reach out to me to pick my best shot. And they haven't yet. So
what made that shot great?
Insane levels of synchronicity that are just insane, beyond. Yeah. Okay,
just lots of things lining up.
Just perfect.
Was it a person? Come on, you got to give us something.
Now, this is what my book's about, really. This is what this 7-year book has been about, is channeling all these different moments, grounding them, giving them names, giving things that lead to them to increase your start chances. It's really out there stuff. This is also why maybe it shouldn't exist, because like, who's it for? It's like, yeah. But then again, if that book, where is it? If the photographer's playbook can exist, then I guess
absolutely
my
yours
book deserves to exist, right?
That shouldn't exist.
I want to read it. I want to read it.
Yeah, I'm nearly there. I've been reaching out to publishers. I've got a few publishers lined up potentially, but I'm also thinking the nature of the work is kind of occult, and maybe that's not the way to do it because occult means hidden, and maybe it goes against the way to mass produce it. Maybe I'm better doing it myself and keeping it low radar. It sounds crazy, right? I should be probably trying to publish it as much as possible. But I also feel like there's power in that. Austin Osman Spare always self-published, and he made like 500 copy editions. So maybe I do that. It's weird.
You could do either nowadays, right?
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But I don't know. I don't even know if it should exist, honestly. I can tell you that. But I think also this is important. We need to talk about this. We're creative people, right? But we're also destroyers. At certain points, you have to make decisions of creative work where you say this photo in, this photo out. You have to do it when you frame. Let's frame the camera out. And you have to do it with the books and even your projects. You have to do a project. Maybe you've done a project for 2 months and you realize actually it's going nowhere and stop. So a big part of us as creatives is to have that ability to say, I'm not emotionally attached to this work. I'm going to stop. And I can safely say hand on heart that if I felt that I should burn that frickin' book, 7 years of work, I would do it. Oof. And I think that's also it's also crazy, but also that's how I think I do good stuff, is that you have the ability to move on quickly. Right?
Yeah, you can't be attached. That's the thing, isn't it? Like is this your next photo book?
So this work was shot in 2009. It was called basically it was about Anarcho-Dandies. It's people who do retro-socializing, like party, like it's like the 1930s and 40s. Okay. And it's when I was sort of still finding my feet a bit with documentary. And I did a few projects like this where I photographed what's called not real people. I mean, they are real, but in essence, I mean, this is a shot. This is boring. Like,
bring your, if we're going forwards, just bring your microphone in.
So like, essentially what we've got here, let me get my glasses and smash your headphones. You see it, it's quite far in. But I think a few people have done this before, but it's like essentially what you're doing is...
I can't work out which way we need to go.
I need to move that. Oh my God,
this
about to go.
It's all right, I got it.
Just come back this way a little bit.
So there you go.
There we
go. Just flick through it. Now, you're going to look at this thinking, what's going on? Why are some of the shots upside down on a contact sheet? Because even in 2009, I did the cool trick where I'd hold my Bronica in the air. And I do that to get higher angles. So that's actually upside down. But not a bad composition considering. No, I got better as well, because that was, 15 years ago. So essentially, this is me not being confident, thinking, you know what I can do? Is that the right way? Yeah. I'm going to photograph people kind of performing, people dressed up. So I found all these like sort of men, like they weren't really, they were like fake men's clubs, but they were like sort of parodying it. I photographed like poetry nights, vintage at Goodwood. I photographed... the Chap Olympiad at Russell Square.
Was this for anything?
This is how I was going to make my living and how I did for a while. I would photograph a documentary story. I would then sell that story.
Okay, so you were pitching these after.
Yeah. But yeah, speculative. No one ever commissioned me for decent work. I would get projects like, it's Rye Bonfire. And I was like, oh, great, I love photographing fire. No, we're going to have you photograph people at home dressed up in like their outfits on the sofa. It's going to be wacky. And I was like, yeah, that's really cliched and really boring. I'd much rather photograph the bonfire. So that was always a really frustrating thing as an editorial photographer, is you have great ideas, but they'd never accept them. What you'd have to do is shoot the work and then pitch it to them. But the good news is you get paid 8 times more than if they'd paid you to shoot it, right? So this is the first series I actually ever sold to a magazine. It was L'Espresso in Italy, and I think I got a couple of €1,000. And then it was also sold to a few other magazines, and that's how it began. It was the idea of exclusive sales and secondary sales. And these are contact sheets I printed back when I was teaching at a university I hate, and and I was basically exploiting them by like scanning in my contact sheets on my Epson flatbed and printing these off. I never had the money to do the nice proper contact sheets, but I always found this was a very quick and easy and cheap way of quickly doing it. And I'm going to use these for making my next book, which is going to be called Anarcho-Dandies. And it's all these guys.
Where was this?
I don't know if I want to say. I don't know if it still exists. I mean, people might run off, but it's basically a club called the Handlebar Club. So it's all people with handlebar moustaches. Yeah. But some of the photos you might recognise from my book Inagada England, because what I did was basically pulled a lot of images out from my archive and then made that book with new work. Yeah. So I like the fact there's a thread between my Dungeness book and my Inagada England book.
I love that idea as well, that there's threads running between all of the work. I think it's important,
because that photo of that guy Michael is in Inagada England, you see. But I might put it in this book as well, just to be like... I had this weird recurring dream when I was a teenager, and it was about... I was at a party. I was like on a boat. And then the party ends, and now I'm in a party in a high-rise building somewhere else in the world, but some of the people are the same people. And then I'm at a party in another place, and now some of the people there are also the same. It's almost like maybe idea of reincarnation, that certain people stay with you throughout different lifetimes, and that maybe in my books I've got some of the same people cropping up, even though they're different worlds.
Is it? I think it
There are
is.
different parties.
Is it Dado Moriyama who reuses his work like multiple times? I was reading about something that he says, yeah, I'll take one project and then I'll morph it into another project, and I'll take the same photo and sequence it next to something else, and it has a different meaning.
Yeah, well, a lot of my projects all started from, people talk about research and photography a lot, right?
Yes.
A lot of my
What is it? Because it feels like it's this mysterious thing
look,
to me.
You can practice can be research, as in going out and photographing. Some of my best photo essays, my project about chickens that was in Nat Geo started from a photograph I took of my dear friend Stefan on a sofa smoking a joint of his chickens in 2002. And I didn't start shooting that project till 2010.
And I really love the photo you just shot of his son as well.
Yeah, that meant a lot to me.
It was really cool.
But the point was that one photo of him on the sofa was always in my archive, and 8 years later I had the idea to do a whole project on it. So that photo birthed a whole series. So sometimes in your archive you might have a photo you took, and actually if you really get into it, there's a whole project there.
That is the beautiful thing. That to me is one of my favourite things ever. Is like I've got all my photos on my NAS now, and I can literally dip in at any moment in time and just find a treasure, well, not a treasure trove, but just photos I've forgotten completely I'd ever even taken.
Yeah.
And they just turn up and you're like, oh my God, that. And then you're in a hole and you start, I like the idea, you see, I was thinking about this, of making short projects, almost like haiku poems.
Yeah.
Like just maybe 6 or 7 images and doing lots of them. And I think you can get quite a powerful feeling across in a bunch of about.
That's at LCC, if you recognise the office.
In a short bunch of
Oh, is
images.
it? I recognise the outside.
Yeah, that's LCC. That's Elephant and Castle.
Oh yeah, that is Elephant and Castle. I used to work there, right there as well.
Yeah. The funny thing, if you notice with this, all these photos are flash. One thing I don't really do much anymore, but all this is medium format Bronica with flash. That's bounce flash, that's flash. All this is fill flash. And I forgot what a crazy thing it was back in the day, shooting film with flash. And I did it all the time.
Yeah.
And it was just the way to do it.
And you did it really well as well, Ed.
Thank you. But, that was 2009. I don't know how much of a surgeon I'd be doing it now because I haven't done it in years, but I've still got loads of Mets flashes. But anyway, my point was
I've just put a Mets flash in my case for a gig next week.
In the old days, freelancing and editorial, my photojournalist fellows would shoot to get 20 pictures. This is important. They'd shoot to get 20 pictures. Why? Because 20 pictures was a wide edit for pitching a photo essay to, say, a newspaper or a magazine. But I always shot to get 50 or 60 pictures a project. People I knew would be like, Ed, why are you still shooting it? Aren't you done? And the whole reason was I knew I wanted to make photo books. Even then, I knew I wanted to make books. So even if you get 20 pictures, just keep going. Trust me. 20 pictures is okay. 20 pictures is a zine. I went to town here, but I was going to say, I went to town because it was really hard. I was bounce flashing and I just wasn't sure what was going on. And she was a poet and I just wanted to make sure I got her expression right. But one of them will be the shot.
This was a commission or this was a...
None of this was commissioned, man. Like most of the good work I've done, none of it was commissioned. It was all me creating documentary photo essays to sell to Editorial. And some magazines would pay 1,000, some would pay 2,000. Then if you got a big one, like say The Guardian, other magazines around the world would see it and you'd get what's called secondary sales. And then if the magazine then sold the story, you'd get 50%. Or if you had an agency like I had with Lutz, they would then sell it on and you get more cuts and more sales. And a good photo essay would go around the world. All those magazines, gone. And the ones that do exist, forget the pay. It's atrocious. I've worked for some newspapers recently, and the pay I'm getting now is the same pay I got in 2009.
Yeah, you did a job for the newspaper, didn't you, for The Guardian? And it was like, I couldn't quite get over how little they are paying. Yeah. So what happens? Let's hyper jump into the future 20 years, right? Yeah. AI is everywhere. It's creating every image we can possibly see. Does photography exist in a commercial sense? Do we think? Will brands still be paying for photographers to make work?
Yeah.
Do we think?
It'll become like two separate things because ultimately what will happen, you've got to think, how do we get this in? So let's say we want militarized drones in our country for policing. You'll never get that in. So you start first with the drones delivering packages and you get it into the system. And before you know it, you're getting arrested by a robot. And it's like we're in like some nightmare sci-fi film. It's the same with AI. And what obviously we know it's going to happen anyway, because AI is obviously knocking the hell out of the porn industry right now. And the porn industry is always ahead. The reason why we have VHS instead of Betamax, porn. PayPal, forget PayPal. Porn had online paying before PayPal. Porn is always ahead of the game, right? Right now, porn's blitzing AI. I tell you, right? Give it 4 years and you'll have major TV studios, film studios making movies. Everyone's going to love them because it's going to have young Audrey Hepburn with old Harrison Ford, a young Natalie Portman with a young Johnny Depp, and people will love it. They'll love it. This is great. Even better, Netflix will have it. You'll type in Vin Diesel and it'll Bruce Lee, and it will spit out a movie, and people will love it. Why will they love it? Because they made it, and it must be good. And that's what's going to happen. It's going to be mad, but AI is always going to be fake. It's never going to be real. My whole life has been about the real, about being outside of Plato's cave. That's where I've been at for like 25 years now. And I'm telling you, man, in that realness is value. In that experience is value. AI doesn't have experiences, doesn't have authenticity. Photography will exist.
It's just like a cheap magic trick. That's all it is.
Yeah, photography will have value, but it's the kind of thing I've written about in my book, which is essentially like, it's the experience, dummy. It's the journey. That's it. This is the thing, man. Like, and that's where you won't get that. So yeah, it will exist. But also my career, man, portrait photographer, event photographer, little Timmy's graduation. You want the AI image of little Timmy graduating, or the AI image of the billionaire shaking the person's hand? No, you're going to want the real thing. So some photography will still survive, but it'll be not based on like anything artificial. So advertising, fashion, food, automotive.
Do you know what the newest thing I've seen in wedding photography is?
No. I'm almost scared to ask.
Couples running their own wedding photos through AI and getting variations.
Yeah. Well, I had the last wedding I shot. It was a woman who was freaking out because her son's hair, who was 9, her son's hair was too ginger, and he was self-conscious about it. So I had to make his hair less ginger in every photograph. She didn't like her mum's walking stick. I had to Photoshop that out as well. So that's always been happening in some messed up,
I don't do
format.
it. I won't do a contextual edit. It's in my contract.
Yeah.
I'll obviously recrop and I'll try and shoot a tidier frame, but like I'm not about removing stuff and cloning stuff, and like I don't know, just like what's the point? You're getting married. It's your day, and surely if that bottle of Avion was in the corner, that's how the day was.
But also, I always say this to people, especially when they get older. Look, man, you're the youngest you're ever going to be right now.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't like how I look. Trust me, in 20 years' time, you're going to be like, I look great.
Yeah.
So, again.
Yeah.
It's a weird one, man. Photography is such a crazy thing, right? Because it's like, I think I've said this before to you guys, it means the world to me. But at the same time, in my dualism, I know that it's just photography.
Oh, it doesn't mean
and that
yes,
is such a weird tightrope to walk, where it's like it's the meaning of my life.
Totally.
But I know it's just photography. And I think there's so many people in this industry where it's like they've gone way beyond. It's just like, won't name any names. Photographer, British institution, just put a whole book out of blurry landscape photos. It's all iconic landscapes in London, but they're just blurry.
How I blows my mind though,
And that's good.
Are they a visionary?
but it blows my mind. Like
I don't think so. Not anymore. Not anymore.
But I don't understand. This is what I don't understand.
But that's getting high on your own supply. That's the thing, isn't it? That's when you know you've just left the park. You're like,
but how do you know? The other question I suppose, how do you know if you're making good work? How do you know?
you know.
Do you know? Do you think you
really
know?
do. Deep down, you know.
Do you think you do?
Deep down, you know. You know.
See, I've had this conversation with Dan, is saying that like I can go out. This is what I feel anyway. I can walk out the street and take a great photo of a hedge, as well as a great portrait of a person, as well as a great landscape, as well as and everything can be good.
But
right?
that's the photojournalist training. That's what I got taught when I did the MA in photojournalism at LCC. That's the nuts and bolts of the Newport School. That's what you've got going on, Paul. And like every project you ever make can be in some part changing those bolts around. But most photographers will never do that. They just, I just do landscapes or I just do portraits. It's hard to do the whole thing, the whole kit caboodle. But you don't have to anymore because the industry's dead anyway. So why do it? Maybe because you want to push yourself. Maybe
Well, you can do what the fuck you like. That's the like
that is the beautiful thing, isn't it?
Well, you're never going to sell it. You're never going to get rich. It doesn't fucking matter.
No, it's not about the money.
Right.
No, it's always and I remember being taking E and being on Brighton Pier with my mate when I was about 27, and we woke up and it was like the sun was coming up, and he looked at me and he went, "Paul, it's all about the journey, mate. It's always, always, always. There's no pot of gold at the end of the fucking rainbow. It's about I don't know. Maybe it's a bit of unlearning about how our parents brought us up. Maybe it's about learning to be who you are. And I think when you get to about our age, 50-ish, you've done all the teenage angst and you've got all that shit out of you. And you're realizing that, we're at a time when our parents are much older and they're pretty much not going to be around much longer, right? There's definitely that. And I don't know. So I always feel it's a weird time in my life where my children, they're not young anymore, and I can feel that I'm older, and that time I'm just in this middle time.
Listen, man, one day you're going to be too slow on your feet to go out and take the photos. And at that point, you can dig back through your archive and figure out what you want to do with it. But I think all the time now, while you can shoot, just go out and shoot.
But the same to Chuck Close is in a wheelchair and does like amazing portraits. So there's always going to be,
for sure,
something
but
you can do.
I'm saying that
Par went round with his
There you go, Zimmer.
You are going to be as you are today. You are as fast as you'll ever be in the future.
Yeah, right? I think that is the big motivator for
the thing is, man, if you're a visionary, then you've got the perception, and that's your tool. That's the thing, because everywhere you go, there you are. You don't have to worry about any of it, because you'll always see how you see, and that's the thing. It's like, how do you get there? And that's very difficult. But that's the holy grail. That is the philosopher's stone of a photographer, to find their unique visual style. It's a very hard thing to do. That's really
interesting for you to say. It's very gratifying in a way, but I don't know. Like in myself, I would argue I'm just like almost like a stone in a pond that ripples out, and I'm just one of those ripples. That's
you feel you don't have consistency, but you are. You feel you're chaos, 100%. But you're not. You know. There's quiet in the storm. You're there, and you get it every time. Now, segue about the industry. Very dear friend of mine, who amazing work for everyone, top class, right? Out of work, working as a labourer right now, physical labouring, right? That's how hard this industry is.
Yeah,
right
it's
now.
impossible.
It's brutal, and this is why just advice to anyone listening: if you're thinking about some prick on YouTube being like, "You should pack it in, do my course, go full time," you will see that, you chase the dream, baby. It's like, the reason I've got this far is I do so many different things, right? I do print sales, I sell books, I freelance, and I will do anything, right? Pretty much. Like, I do portraits, I do events. I could do reportage if I got paid, but it rarely ever happens.
Ed's been selling his feet on OnlyFans.
Selling my feet. Teaching, which again, it used to be like, okay, but it's just they've shaved education, especially higher education, so thin now that when I left higher education 2 years ago, I was doing the jobs that 3 people were doing the 10 years before when I started. And that's just not sustainable. There's no way. So, and yet the students are paying more and more money. It's really bonkers. But yeah, moral of the story is as well, is like, it's really tough. So it's not a problem to have a day job. It's probably good to have a day job. Because if there's no money in it anyway, you can still do the thing you want to do. So don't let anyone be like, I'm a pro and you feel bad about it. But I do feel like there's not many things you can do in this life, but you can do something. So why not do something good? I could list off 20 projects you could do right now that I can't physically do because of my dadding and all the other stuff I've got to do. Because also the hustle I have to do now to live is like, a lot of my time is hustling for work. So it's not like there's regular money. Everything I'm doing is trying to get more work coming in. And it's hard. Personally, I can't spend my time doing work which isn't going to bring in any money. And the hard truth of that is, you've seen the BJP trying to do it with a lot of the books, some of the books they've supported, but a lot of stuff to do with like social equality and all kinds of things like that. These are generally books that don't sell as well. So you've got to really think about that too. And that's another reason why I killed my English Defence League book, which I was going to try and do, until it turned out the only people buying my book would be in Luton. And I can't have that, can I? So,
Yeah, it's interesting that.
But that's the other thing to consider, is that it is tough, but you can do it. But you got to be so good. That's the other thing. You got to be so good. You know what I mean?
You need a bit of a network as well, because the reality is, like, if I put a book out now, nobody knows who the fuck I am.
It doesn't matter, because you only need 100 people to crowdfund it. You'd do that easy. If you never crowdfunded a book, I bet you £100, if eReview crowdfunded a book, you'd do it. If it was like between 7 and 8 grand, you'd do it. If you got in bed with one of the pay-to-play guys and they said you need 30 grand, maybe you're not going to do it. But if you did it yourself, you'd do it. So, and then you've got all those books to sell and make money. You totally could do it, Dan.
I don't know.
Easy.
I don't know. I'm just enjoying shooting at a minute. Like, at some point, I'll get around to it and I'll make a book, but I don't. There's not a book in me yet.
But then that's the thing, is when you get a project that really gets into you and you get those 50 pictures and you're like, okay, I've got 50 finals, this is a book, and then do the book.
Yeah. Yeah, one day I'll get there.
It's a nice thing. In a so immaterial world where everything's so throwaway and disposable, having a book, you know.
But I kind of like the way that you've come out with like, oh, here's a bunch of work that I've done over the years, and then you've been able to just kind of keep that momentum going. Like right now, the way I'm shooting, even if I had one project, I wouldn't have enough in it to just.
I think what it is though, I something you said, like you'd overshoot for these, like the other guys would be shooting 20 photos, you'd be shooting 50. Like I think of a similar ilk. Like I've got loads of work. I shot for the Ministry of Sound for 3 months, right? Nightclubbers in the 90s, and it's amazing. And I've kept it. I've not really put it out. And I know that's going to be a book at some point, but I think it gets better with time as well, right?
Yeah.
Allowing it to percolate.
They've just had their anniversary, haven't they?
Yeah. Exactly.
Probably would have been the time.
There's actually
Sorry, Bear. Sorry, boy. You missed the boat on that one.
No, I did.
Cutting down. Yeah, there's this big anniversary.
Yeah,
you missed it.
I'm in an anniversary book that another photographer made actually, but it's on the history of Ministry of Sound.
Yeah, I've seen
cool.
it. Yeah. It's over in like it's Ibiza and Iron Apple and stuff. Yeah, I saw some. They were good. They're good photos.
They're great photos. Love those photos.
Yeah.
Where are you with Wandle right now? What year is it?
Dude, Wandle.
It's just such
Wandle.
a pain.
I mean, I swear it's done. You've got enough, man. You've got enough.
I think you need another 2 or 3 years of this.
I've got it down to a kind of manageable number right now.
Could you tell the people at home what this is, because they won't know what this is?
What, the Wandle?
Yeah.
So it's a 6-year project that started just before November 2019, just before COVID hit, and it basically the River Wandle runs from Wandsworth, where I live, to Croydon. It's about 9.5 kilometres, and it's a river, and it's a really interesting space. It runs through council estates and industrial estates and green spaces, and it ends up in a Sainsbury's car park, the source of the river. And it's just a wee. I'd been a street photographer my whole life, and I just wanted to approach. It mentally was like a different approach where instead of shooting everything candidly, I would interact with the people and the place that I was photographing more than just.
It's your first doc, right?
Yeah.
It's your first doc project.
Yeah, first proper one, I would say.
Yeah.
And it's been really interesting because I've shot it with so many. Like I know photographers will shoot with the same camera, but I've shot it with my phone, with Leicas, with Nikons, with loads of.
But you know how you can do that? You know how?
Go on.
Because there's one variable that's staying the same, and it's you.
Yes.
It's the experiment's changing with the camera, but you're staying the same. And some photographers wouldn't. Some photographers might get the different camera and then change the style.
Yes.
But as long as, and we know it is, as long as you're consistent, then you're okay and you can do that. And that's why it's worked.
And me and Dan talked about this a while back, but if I was, my 18-year-old daughter, I was giving her the book and she said, "Daddy, what does this mean? Like, what are the photos about?" Right? That was the question. And for me, it's all about kindness. It's all about, like, giving a fuck about somebody else other than yourself and your direct family. It's like, we live in a world where we're told we're frightened of strangers, and strangers are, but most people, I would argue 99% people I've met on the street are kind, generous, good people. You will come across a wrong end, but on the whole, and I think we forget that kindness is such a simple sentiment. It's such an easy thing but just, helping a woman with a pram when she's got a kid, opening the door for somebody, just these simple minor actions. And that can, like I say, that can come out in a piece of grass or a portrait or a landscape. And the skill for me has been how can I show a kind landscape? How can I show a kind rock? How can I show something that's like, maybe a weird abstract ripped painting on the wall, but how can I marry all of this together to show that message?
This is why it's taken you so fucking long to get through this.
But then we go back to it. You are everyone in your class.
Yeah, totally.
You're everyone in the classroom. That's you. Everyone in the class.
Yeah.
It's the same feeling when you interact with everyone. If
Yeah.
you can remember that, then you're okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's tough.
But yeah, I got it down to about 400 photos.
Okay, that's good. Are you up to today now? Because I think last time we spoke about this properly, I think you had about another year and a half left to get up to.
Yeah, I'm up to date. But I just like walking it as a walk, and I take my camera with me, so I'm still making.
Yeah, you can
work.
still add to it, but I think
And
I think at
suppose
some
this-
point we need to look through. I'll sit and do this cut with you, and we'll figure out what you've got, what you're missing, and then at least then you've got some direction. Because if you need to go into some businesses or like you need to get more interior stuff, like at least it would be good to know that there's like a bit of a gap in what I'm trying to say.
I suppose the question I'm asking myself is like, you know, this is a 9 kilometre obscure piece of like geography in southwest London, right? That like is a path, right? Fundamentally.
Most people that look at this book will never have.
Yeah, but also it's you.
Right,
It's not
exactly.
even, at this point, that river doesn't exist. The river is you and your life.
Yes,
and like the way
yes.
you shoot, it's something else. So it's a weird thing. It's like, you know, the very popular, horrifically bad travel photography you see on Instagram, like Tom from MySpace. Remember Tom from MySpace?
Yeah.
He sold out, became a photographer, traveled around the world doing the worst chocolate box shots of Thailand you've ever freaking seen. Massively popular, yeah? But it's literally all they do is just travel around doing the same photo of the same cliched holiday shit. When you're really good at what you do, it's back to this whole Eggleston idea, or many great photographers, Dado, everyone, is that, you know, you're finding something else on that trail. And like other people wouldn't even see it who walked it a million times. And it's, you know, it's like almost an internal landscape, right?
It's
So
part of you, isn't it?
that's it.
It's part of you.
So you're sharing, we talk about kindness and personal work, which ultimately this is as well. It doesn't matter, there's not a narrative to it, man, in a way, because like anyone who really understands photography will see you in every picture. And that's kind of cool.
That is kind of cool, isn't it? That's the coolest bit, I think. I think that is the coolest bit, like, I don't think there's, you know, the motivation for taking pictures, right? I think if you ask yourself what motivates me to go out and make work, and for me it's twofold. I think it's one about finding a space just to slow down the everyday chaos of the world, and it allows me to singularly think on one thing. And I am thinking about other things, but I don't listen to music when I'm out. You know, I can't be one of those people who've got headphones in. I've got to be listening to the environment and feeling it, and it's almost, I don't know about you, but I've talked about this to other people. It's a bit woo-woo, but like imagine going into a room, and there's a room of people, and being able to feel what somebody else is feeling without a word being said, right? And I feel like that skill is inside of me, that I can feel that even when I'm out walking the path and somebody, it's like an energy. I can't explain what it is.
Yeah, but you know, you get adept at this kind of thing. You're reading the room, constantly reading the room. You know, some of the high-profile billionaires I'm photographing, and I'm just sort of hanging out. You know, the suit I wear sometimes isn't very expensive compared to the suits in the room, but it's probably the same suit that the security detail wear. And just this week, I was filming a billionaire, and a woman came and said, "Oh, are you with security?" Because I'm quite tall and the neat shirt, whatever. And so when I want to disappear, I just adopt the body language of the security guys, and I fold my camera into my jacket, and I cross my arms, I put my arms behind my back, and it's just like, in those moments, I can feel when I've got to not photograph. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's not just feeling when I should get the shot. It's also saying, no, something's off here. Don't take the picture. But anyway, coming back to clarify something quickly, because I know someone might be listening to this and be like, massive hypocrisy, Ed, you're an idiot. I was talking about photography and saving the world and yes, and documentary and photojournalism, and yes, you should do that, you can do that. But also there's something to do with leading by example, and through you finding something in your journey that has value to you, to then inspire other people to get out and have a little look and see if they can find something that also has value. It's very hard to do both, but I think both things can serve a really important purpose. So for anyone who's like, oh yeah, it's just navel gazing, it's all about you, blah, blah, blah. Well, maybe not. Maybe it's about if someone coming up now is 20 and picks up your photo book and thinks, I could do that. And then off they go, and it sets them on a different tangent. Right? It's very hard for a young photographer to look at someone who's going in deep and photographing child poverty and the most horrific things imaginable. And they look at that and think, oh yeah, great, I'm going to get stuck in and photograph these kids without beds. That's something I think for the grown-ups. And that's why I think a lot of the great street photographers right now, they're good enough. They should start doing real photojournalism. I'm going to have to say it. They really need to. The world's really fucked. They've got the skills. They're not really making any money doing street photography apart from selling people the Lutz. You know what? There's so many stories. You don't know what to cover. Email me confidentially. I'll give you 20 ideas. All worth telling, all worth doing. You can do it. You've got the skills. We've all seen your photographs. We know you're good. You could do something for real if you wanted to.
Give us one, Ed. Give us one.
Well, I said without beds, a million children without beds. I said it earlier. There's one. Okay. Another. One thing that popped into my head is a really hard one to visualize, but it's something I think that's quite important, is time poverty. I don't know if you know about this. So it's like most families, it's like there's no fucking time. There's just no time. There's no time to do anything. And there's whole structures now built around the idea that you have no time, like auto renewal on your car insurance, things where you get entrapped. The fact that you can't try on clothes now, there's no changing rooms in Sainsbury's. So people like buying the clothes, but they have to buy multiple sizes, but then they have to get to post them back. And, there used to be a time not long ago where one person in the household could earn, and it was enough for a family car and a holiday and a home. And now, the state of basically everything's got more expensive. People are not being paid half as much. It hasn't kept up with inflation at all. We're all screwed. There's a tricky project to photograph, because how do you visualize that kind of thing? But the bed's one's so simple. It's so obvious. There's no freaking bed. What are the kids sleeping on, I did a job for shelter to do with this, but obviously it was for shelter and I can't share the work because it was internal. So, but there's so many things like that. Not making about yourself. I think it's really cool. Like, I've never met a racist photojournalist in my life. I've met very racist photographers, but I've never met a racist photojournalist, because you meet too many different people. Don't hang out with the same people. Meet different people, and it's fine. Go hang out with them, learn about them. And then they sort of, you learn more about yourself because of it, and it's a good thing to do. But again, it's like, it's a lot of effort in it, You can just,
That's it, nuggets. Let's bring in the nuggets.
Well, I just feel like there's so many great photographers of my generation who've ended up just doing nothing. And it confuses me why they never tried. I mean, I tried to the point where I said I got on that plane on my birthday going to Lebanon, and I got the Syrian refugee photos, and I did it all to then come back, and the magazine paid me barely enough to cover the flight, and that's it. I'm not wealthy enough to be that photographer, even though I have the skills to do it. And again, I've come to terms with that, but it's okay. But I still feel like there's a lot of people who still seem to be out there with lots of time. And what are they doing? It's like, you're just doing like pastely pretty photos of very middle-class suburbs. It's like, the world is in...
There's some really good stuff out there, though. There is some really good stuff out there. Right.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah. Right, so we're back again in a couple of weeks, probably with Luke Saxon in it.
Luke coming, is it?
Luke's coming.
21st of April, eh?
Yeah. By the time you see this, it'll be 21st of April, 2028. Right. It's been emotional.
Love you, Edward.
See everyone later.